Darkest greetings, horror, sci-fi, and Guillermo del Toro fans. We're here from Horror Sci-Fi Beyond, and this is actually our first episode of the new year. And it's really exciting because we took a break in January to kind of rest up a little bit, and like kind of take a break from the podcasting madness. And we're back with Guillermo del Toro Part 2. And
Dos.
yeah. What we'll be covering today is The Devil's Backbone, Pacific Rim, The Shape of Water, and then Pinocchio, his latest offering. And with me today is the person that suggested the first Del Toro video a couple of years ago, Mr. Jackson Harper. How's it going, man?
Howdy. It's all right. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Ready to talk about some.
Has it been? It's been like 2 years. Yeah,
it's been great.
That's crazy.
That was our second video together, or episode together.
Yeah, because we did Christopher Nolan first.
Yeah,
I tried to get you to do Del Toro first, but you're like, I haven't seen any of the movies.
Yeah, so it was gonna take me long. It was gonna take me longer to prepare for that video, but but I think Nolan was pretty cool to do first.
Yeah, I love talking about Christopher Nolan, so I no complaints.
Yeah, well, I mean, we eventually talked about Del Toro that year.
Yes.
Like a month or two later said. It's all worked out. But before we get to that, a couple weeks ago we did a live stream to kind of catching up on movies that we've seen, and somebody brought up the multi-Oscar nominated movie, Poor Things. And I expressed that I was thinking about going to go see that movie, but due to the graphic sex scenes, I didn't feel comfortable watching that movie in a theater with other people. And then I'm like, you know what? Screw it. Like I'm in Conway, Arkansas. Like I doubt a lot of people are going to go see a movie like Poor Things, or a lot of people are going to see a movie like Poor Things. And I like that. I was like the only person in the theater. So I finally saw Yorgos Lanthimos Poor Things, and it was really good.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. I had a really good time with it. It definitely cracked my top 5.
It's my number 2 of last year overall.
Okay. What's your number 1?
Iron Claw.
Iron Claw, yeah.
Yeah.
That's in my top 5 for sure.
And honestly, I thought Poor Things, because I saw them on the same day, but I saw Poor Things first, and I thought, oh, this is obviously my number 1 of the year. And then I went and watched Iron Claw right after.
Right.
And I was like, oh no, I guess this is my number 1 of the year.
Yeah. And if you don't know the basic premise of this movie, basically what it is about this woman played by Emma Stone who commits suicide. She's a pregnant woman who commits suicide. Willem Dafoe's like the scientist person who's experimenting on recreating life, like kind of like a Frankenstein kind of thing. Finds this woman, takes the unborn baby out of her, puts the brain in her brain. It's basically a grown woman with a child's brain, and she slowly learns like how to operate in the world, and it's like wonderful. And she has like this weird walk, like at the beginning of the movie, and as soon as like, her walk, that little weird toddler kind of Frankenstein walk, I'm like, okay, Emma Stone's winning the Oscar this year.
I mean, it's definitely down to her, and who's the other one that's the big friend? I guess Lily Gladstone.
Yeah, I was on the Lily Gladstone train for a while, but after I saw Emma in this movie, I'm like,
there's such different movies, such different types of performances. They're both amazing in their own ways. But I hate that we have to choose
Yeah, yeah, that's one of the things I don't like about award shows. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, honestly, this is gonna be a different conversation for a different episode, but
Yeah.
like I'm kind of mixed on award shows, honestly.
I,
I
I'm
still
over
like
it.
them. I still
Yeah.
like the Oscars. It's just one of
It's
those things.
sometimes fun to watch, and it's fun to follow sort of like the hype campaigns and all of
Mm,
that stuff. It's moderately interesting in a way, but
right.
yeah, I don't get into it as much as I used to, because I would for years and I never missed an Oscar
Mm.
broadcast. Like I would
Well,
always watch them,
one
but
good
now
thing
I
about
don't
the
care.
Oscars is it actually motivates some people to watch some movie that they probably
That's
don't
true.
want.
That's very
Like the
true.
day before I went to go see Poor Things, like I saw Anatomy of the Fall and I enjoyed it. I mean, I wouldn't say
I still haven't seen that one.
yeah, I
So
wouldn't say I loved it, but it was pretty.
mhm.
It was a different take on like a courtroom drama kind of thing. Um, but anyways, Poor Things, go see it.
Yes.
Plus, Emma Stone is naked a lot in the movie, so that's another plus. But no, definitely check out this movie, Poor Things. It's
Uh-huh.
really unique. The set designs are amazing. It's kind of like a weird, like almost not cyberpunk, steampunk version of like
Yeah, a little bit of that.
Victorian England kind of.
Hmm.
I don't know what era.
Yeah, but it also has like this kind of storybook quality to it.
Oh yeah, like an adult story.
Especially, well, yeah, but especially like when they're out on the ship and like you go outside and like the sky is the most sort of blue,
Right.
cloudy, like perfect it's ever been.
Yeah,
That sort of thing.
there's a lot of zooms in this movie too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
like Stanley Kubrick zooms.
it's wild. Like Yorgos Lanthimos, he's always sort of been like this, but he's gotten more like this over
Right.
time. If you go back and watch something like Dogtooth, which, oh my gosh, Dogtooth, that one would definitely make you uncomfortable to watch.
Right.
But like, there's a little bit of this, but
Mhm.
it's been fun to watch him sort of evolve over time, like from Dogtooth to like
Mhm.
the Lobster, and then Killing of a Sacred Deer, and then The
Mhm.
Favorite, which I really really love, and then this one. So
Yeah. Apparently, Yorkos told Emma about his idea for Poor Things, like while they were making The Favorite.
that doesn't surprise me. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it
Yeah.
was a book apparently,
Oh, really?
which
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Oh,
based
I
on a
saw that.
novel.
Yeah.
So he probably was reading the novel or something like
Hmm.
that while he was making that movie or something. Yeah. So
Yeah. But yeah, anyways, there's this one part in the movie where Emma Stone is talking to William Dafoe's character, who she calls
mhm.
God, because that's essentially what he is in this movie.
Well, that and the fact that his character's first name is Godwin.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's
Mhm.
short for Godwin, but it's like a double entendre.
Okay.
Yes.
So anyway, so the camera's on her and it zooms, right? And then it cuts to Dafoe and it's in the zoom, it's in the same positioning
Uh
kind of thing. It's so weird.
huh.
And it continues to zoom.
Yeah, it's a kooky movie, but I really really love it.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of fisheye lenses and
Hmm.
like I said, there's a lot of sex scenes in this movie.
This is very true.
Yeah, because that will you know that's one thing that she discovers and this her character Bella Baxter discovers in the movie is
Yeah.
sexuality.
Yeah, and it kind of opens her up to everything else. It kind of
Mhm.
starts with sex because, like, early in the movie, she figures out how to masturbate.
Yeah, that was something.
And that's sort of when everything starts to take off for her because it's like, oh, what is this? And now she's curious about
Mhm.
everything. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like the movie we're about to talk about, Pinocchio. Pinocchio is a very serious character.
Yeah, it's a little bit like that, I
You know,
guess.
but yeah, definitely check this movie out. It's really interesting. But that's the thing. It's not all about like the sexual, like
No, no,
like
that's just
that's a
part
big
of
part
it.
of it.
Yeah.
It's a big
It's
part
a
of it now.
it's a big part, but I think, like I said, it's the jumping off point for the whole
Hmm.
rest of the movie.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about it. It's like we were saying, like it's her discovering the world, and that's
Yes.
just part of it. Is
Yeah.
that's one of the many things. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, a lot of us have a sex drive. Let's be honest. It's the way of life. That's how it
Yeah.
works. But anyways, you ready to talk about some Guillermo del Toro?
Yep, yep. I've been cramming. I've
Oh
spent the
yeah,
last couple days watching all of these movies
yeah.
again.
So the plot summary for The Devil's Backbone, according to the Internet Movie Database, is after Carlos, a 12-year-old whose father has died in the Spanish Civil War, arrives at an ominous boys' orphanages where he discovers the school is haunted and has many dark secrets which he must discover. Now, what is your overall thoughts about The Devil's Backbone?
Okay, so let's let's well, I'll do that in a second.
Hmm.
So my overall thoughts. This is not my favorite Del Toro.
Mhm.
But I can understand why it might be some people's,
Right.
because it's very subtle. It's very minimalist for a Del
Mhm.
Toro movie. It's very sort of slow paced.
Mhm.
Um, and that's probably why it's not among my favorites of his movies, but it's very strong offering. I think it's a movie that improves as you go along through it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's hard to get into at the beginning because it's like,
Mhm.
oh, there's all these characters. I don't really know what's going on.
Right.
But as the sort of mysteries and secrets are revealed throughout,
Mhm.
it gets a lot more compelling.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I thought this was a really cool, interesting take on a ghost story. And of course, after I watched the movie, I watched, some of the special features, and I
Mhm.
liked the one where he was talking about how he wanted the ghost in the movie to be kind of like a porcelain doll, like kind of like broken,
Yeah.
and that's why
Mhm.
there's like a little crack in his head. And that's
Yeah.
pretty different. You don't really see that in really a lot of horror movies, like that kind of idea.
No, it's a Del Toro specialty is sort of taking a thing you've seen before and doing it
Mhm.
in a way haven't really seen before. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So like gotta get into the deep dive a little bit.
Okay.
Because you have the intro monologue that goes, "What is a ghost? A tragedy doomed to repeat itself in time and again. An instant of pain, perhaps. Something dead which still seems to be alive. An
Mhm.
emotion suspended in time, like a blurb, like a blurb photograph, like an insect trapped in ember." And honestly, that's probably like the most beautiful, poetic, like poignant, like take on a ghost. Because that's
Yeah.
yeah, and that's the thing about it is a lot of these ghost stories is always the person who died always resigns, in a childhood home or a place that they're staying
Uh-huh.
at or whatever, and they gotta like relive like their past again, or
Right.
a character you know, like sees the ghost or discovers the ghost, and then they learn about like what happened.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's always about going back to the past.
Yeah.
Yeah, your past, like haunting you and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think is really cool about this movie is you have the ghost is this movie's all symbols and
Mm,
metaphors and everything. The ghost is one of them. The other one is the unexploded bomb.
right.
That's kind of the other ghost of this movie.
Mm. Oh yeah,
Uh, the
that's
the
interesting.
thing that hangs over everybody's head. It's like there's just this bomb out in
Mm,
the courtyard sticking out of the ground, but it hasn't blown up. And I'll
right.
get into that in a little bit when we get further down
Mm,
through the movie, because that's something that really stuck out to me this
yeah.
time.
Well, even one of the caretakers in this movie says, who grew up in this orphanage, basically said he hates this place.
Yeah.
And he ends up being the bad guy. And for some reason, I don't know if anybody else felt that way, but when you first see him during that scene, or I guess it's like one of the first. I don't know if it's like the first scene with that character in
Mhm.
there, but like I thought he was gonna be like a good guy. Like I did not
Because
think this.
he looks like he will be the good guy. Yeah. You see him and you just think, oh, that's the hero, right?
Yeah, like
No.
let's feel bad for him because of what what he said, or
Uh-huh.
because he didn't like it there, and it
Well,
kind of
apparently, oh, go ahead.
makes you wonder like what went on like during his time, or what experiences did he have in that orphanage?
Yeah. Well, apparently Del Toro, once he came up, he wrote many versions of this script. He had
Mm.
this script before he even made Kronos, so
Oh
early
wow.
90s. And originally I think the ghost was going to be like a three-armed Jesus or something like that.
What?
Yeah, that's what I read. But and he tried to figure out like who the antagonist was going to be, and when he finally landed on Jacinto, the caretaker who's a former resident of the orphanage,
Mm.
he went and wrote like the whole backstory.
Oh wow.
Yeah, you don't get any of that in the movie, really. Just
Yeah.
little snippets, just like Carmen, the sort of matron of the
Mm.
place, saying like you were always the saddest orphan, that
Oh
sort
yeah,
of
I
stuff.
remember that part.
But you don't really get anything about his past. But apparently, Del Toro, and I presume the actor that played him, knew everything about that
Right.
character.
One of my favorite scenes in this movie, one of the most heartwarming Del Toro scenes, is when Carlos's tutor leaves him and he chases
Mm-hmm.
after him, and which is like his little suitcase, and all of his comics and books fall out,
Mm-hmm.
and Doctor Kairos Kazarian,
Cazares.
yeah, Kazaris,
Yeah.
um comes over to him and helps him out, pick up the books and comics. And he notices that he has the Count of Monte Cristo, and that's
Mm-hmm.
how he connects with this little boy
Yeah.
through that book. And I thought that was kind of sweet. And then later in the movie, he asks what's going on in the Count of Monte Cristo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of sweet. It's this older gentleman
Mm-hmm.
come to help this little boy and connecting him, or having this connection with them through this classic book. And again, we always talk about this when we talk about Del Toro. It's about his movies are about kindness, and so in the how like there's some people that are just they're just kind-hearted
Yes.
people, and there's some people that are just pieces of shit.
Yeah, that's the whole thing, is they're about kindness but against a backdrop of cruelty.
Right.
Like, yeah, there's always something absolutely terrible going on. I think not all of his movies are
Mm.
about kindness. Nightmare Alley is not about
Yeah, I
kindness.
think that one.
It's kind of an
Um,
outlier. Of
yeah, Pacific Rim. We're gonna
course, we're
talk
not
about.
talking about that, but
Yeah, but yeah, I think those two, of the ones I've seen, aren't really about that. But I
yeah.
mean, but overall, a lot of his movies are about, like, like this, like an angel in darkness.
Yes. But there's also, we can't really talk about Del Toro without talking about like fascism.
Oh yeah.
And that's what, multiple of his movies are about, including most of the ones we're going to talk about on this episode. Um, but what I found interesting this time watching it, and I hadn't seen it in a long time,
Mm,
and I didn't really remember a lot of the plot. Like, I didn't remember that Jacinto was the bad guy
right.
this time around. It was sort of like watching it for the first time.
Mm,
I just sort of remembered little things about it.
yeah.
Um,
Did he look
but
like
what I
Eli Roth a little bit?
Oh yeah, he looks just like his character from Inglorious Bastards.
Yeah. I'm like, Eli Roth is in this movie?
It's like, is that the bear Jew? Oh
Well, it's funny because, 'cause, you're talking about like fascism.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But what stuck out to me as far as the sort of fascist thing, because it's set during the Spanish Civil War,
Mm,
which was um, an overthrow of the Spanish government by
mm,
a fascist regime. But the movie's not really about that. The
mm,
characters are sort of involved on the periphery of it,
mm,
but it's really about how fascists can come to power, and
mm.
that's through manipulation and through the silence of people who know
Right.
what's going on. And
Yeah.
that's what the whole unexploded bomb is. Jacinto is the unexploded bomb.
Oh.
Think about it, because he kills Santi,
Mm.
and he doesn't do it on purpose, but he throws the body and ties the body to some rocks and throws it in the water so
Yeah,
nobody will find it.
he's the little boy that turns us into ghosts.
Yeah. Yes, he's the ghost. But then the only other person that knows about it is, what's his name? I can't Jaime. The sort of bully. Well, he's the bully at the beginning. He's not by the end. But he keeps silent about it. He knows the whole time that Jacinto
Right.
is like looking for this gold and has killed Santi.
Oh, I
And
didn't miss that part of the
and
movie.
then who also sees the bomb fall? Jaime.
Mm.
It falls right in front of him and doesn't blow up. And so he has this whole secret.
Mm.
And so Jacinto is the bomb that hasn't blown up yet, but he
Right.
does. The bomb doesn't blow up, but Jacinto blows up the orphanage.
Mm.
And it's about like sort of complicitness and silence, and how wicked people can get their way through the silence of other people.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
Yeah, yeah, they're yeah. I think Del Toro to me is very similar, to Stephen King, where like when he wants you to hate a character, he really makes you hate a
oh
character.
yeah.
And I think like just in my opinion, I think one of the worst villains, one of the most despicable villains, is Michael Shannon from Shape of Water. We'll get more into that later.
Oh, we'll get to him. Yeah,
Yeah,
he is one of the most repellent figures
yeah.
in all of
And it's
cinema.
funny because I think he might be my favorite Del Toro villain because of that.
Well,
Just because
he's great. Like, we'll talk about that when we
yeah,
get to it. Let's.
it's Michael Shannon. How can you not like Michael Shannon?
Yeah,
That guy's a character. That guy's a character all on his own.
yeah, yeah.
Is there a similar aspect to horror movies that has bullying as a big
Uh-huh.
component? Because it just shows that the bullies are just as scary as the monster.
Yeah.
But except in this movie, the bully kind of becomes a hero. But like
Well,
that's
that's the
another
thing, is he's not really the bully.
right.
Like, Jacinto is the bully.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, Jaime acts like a bully at
yeah. Mm,
first until Carlos kind of gains his trust by
mm,
saving him.
right.
Um, and then he's just Carlos's friend from that point.
Mm,
But yeah, he's not the real bully. Jacinto is.
right.
But the
Yeah,
only
it kind of
person that knows that is Jaime. It's really interesting, the
yeah,
dynamic there.
yeah, and it kind of goes back to that old, 50s sci-fi Godzilla kind of notion where like no, like the monster's not the it's not we're the monster, it's us.
Right.
King Kong's not the real monster like Carl Denham is.
Yeah.
The
True.
dinosaurs on Jurassic Park aren't the real monster, it's John Hammett.
Yeah.
Who's using this to make a profit. Despite the
Hmm.
danger it could cause. It's
Right.
more in the book because he's more a despicable human in the book, but that's a different topic.
Yeah.
Now, here's my question: why is
Okay.
Jacinto called the Prince Without a Kingdom?
I don't know. I didn't really clock that very much
Mm.
watching through it. I don't really have a satisfying answer for that.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that was kind of an interesting line for me. I didn't really know what that meant.
Mm,
I think the best explanation is off the top of my head is like he's trying to get this gold so he can have
yeah.
some sort of power of some kind. but he didn't have a kingdom to rule over. I guess, or he didn't care about like community or like humanity, maybe.
Yeah, well, and like I said, when he's introduced, you think he's going to be the hero.
Mm,
And then as you start to see how he is with everyone, like, you start to question what is really going on with this guy. But he seems very
mm,
likable at first. Like, he's engaged to the what's her name, Conchita or something like
yeah.
that, the one of the teachers who's like this
Mm.
pretty young woman. And but then he's also having an affair with with the headmistress of the school.
Yeah, Dr. Caesar's girl.
Well, I think it's not really his girl. Like, I think he has feelings for her,
Yeah,
and
like
they
unrequited love.
yeah, but like they say in the movie, like she was married
Mm.
and then her husband died.
Oh yeah,
She's a widow.
yeah. I had a hard time casting a lot of the backstory. That's
It's
one.
just kind of peppered through the movie. It doesn't really
Yeah.
explain too much. It just kind of like you gotta just catch it or you don't catch it.
Now I got a fun Del Toro fact for you that you may not know about.
Okay.
I did buy the Blu-ray for Pan's Labyrinth
Mm-hmm.
recently. I watched the interview feature with Doug Jones, and he said that Del Toro didn't really talk to him throughout the movie, and he got real nervous because he thought he was messing up or not playing the part right.
Uh-huh.
And about like maybe like 3 or 4 weeks into the suit, like Del Toro comes to him and he's like, you probably noticed how I haven't been talking to a whole lot during this suit. That's because you're doing a good job. And I have nothing to say to you.
I love those two together. I hope
Yeah.
their collaboration is not over with. Because Doug Jones hasn't really been in the last couple Del Toro
He was in
movies.
Nightmare on Alley.
Was he?
Yeah, he was the geek.
Oh, that's right. I
Yeah.
only saw it once. But yeah, it's not a big part,
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know. And I'm sad that he's not going to be in the Frankenstein movie.
Yeah, I think he wanted to get somebody a bit more bulky, maybe. Like
Well,
guys.
he's got Jacob Elordi, who's not bulky. He's just very tall and thin, like Doug Jones, but he's younger. I think that probably has a lot to do
Yeah,
with it.
is he Dr. Frankenstein? J.K. O'Lordy?
Jacob Elordi, no, he's playing the monster.
Oh,
Oscar
really?
Isaac is playing Dr. Frankenstein.
Oh, okay. I was all thrown. I thought it was the other way around.
No, originally it was going to be Andrew Garfield as the monster,
He would have been
but
okay.
he would have been good too. But Jacob Elordi is he's just so tall
Mm,
and sort of
mm,
I like him after seeing
mm.
Saltburn, especially. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I just
So
think he's wanting to
I'm
work
okay
with.
with I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he just wanted to work with a fresh actor. Yeah. So if you got nothing else to talk about with the Devil's Backbone, you want to get to favorite part and least favorite part, and I'll start with you,
Sure.
Jackson. What is your favorite thing about this movie and your least favorite thing about this movie?
Okay. Favorite thing, I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier, just the sort of overarching metaphor of the unexploded bomb
Mm,
and the silence around what Jacinto has done and is going to do, that sort of
right.
thing. It's just very thematically compelling, if nothing else.
Yeah. What's your least favorite thing about this movie?
Um, I mean, I don't. There's nothing I really hate about this movie. It's just a little slow paced for my taste, at least going into a Del Toro movie.
Yeah, it's not as
That's
whimsical as his other
yeah,
movies.
and that's not a ding against it. I mean, that's just the movie he wanted to make, and that's fine.
Mm.
It's just not what I like when I watch a Del Toro movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Pan's Labyrinth is when he really came
And
on his
yeah,
own.
and Pan's
Or to his
Labyrinth
own.
does a lot of the same sort of thematic
Mm.
things that this movie is doing, but it does it in a way that is, to me, far more interesting, emotional, and entertaining. So
Right, and then plus you got Doug Jones' brilliant performance at the Fawn and the
yes.
Pale Man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with my favorite part is I can forgive me I'm terrible with name pronunciations, especially people that are from other ethnicities. I don't mean any disrespect. I don't. It's hard for me to pronounce.
Sometimes it's hard, yeah.
I'm not familiar with. Gengento's death scene is really poetic.
It's it's really great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like he's gone with the gold that he's stealing because I don't know. I can't remember if you mentioned this. But he was stealing gold or keeping gold that he.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit, and he thinks it's in a safe, but no, it's hidden in like the prosthetic leg of what's her name, Carmen, I think.
Yeah, is he slowly stealing it or is he hiding it or what's he doing?
What, her? No, I think she's hiding it because she's using the gold to help the Republican Army, which is
Oh,
the resistance to the anti-fascists.
yeah,
So yeah, so
yeah. So basically, like, because he drowns the little boy, Sandy, and
yes,
yeah, and so he ends up in this water or this pool or whatever with the gold, and the weight of it drowns him. So I thought that was real poetic, like
well,
very.
before that, even like the kids, they figured out that he's the bad guy, and they make spears and like just stab him a
Oh,
bunch
I
of
totally
times
forgot about that
with
part.
the spears. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's really something. It's very Del Toro.
yeah, for sure. I'm gonna go for my least favorite part. I want to maybe like one or two more kind of bonding scenes between Carlos and Doctor Sensei, Sarse,
Casares.
Casares.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want it more like I want at least one more kind of bonding scene between them. 'Cause I think the two we
Yeah.
got were really sweet.
Hmm.
And I like older men kind of characters that kind of build a relationship with a child character, like an older person that is childlike.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the same guy from Kronos, and
Oh
he,
yeah,
he's
forgot
he's
about that.
very similar in that movie. He's got the granddaughter, and he's
Mhm.
got a very close relationship with her. So
Yeah. I always thought I always think that's really cool. How people from two completely different generations, like two, three generations separated, can like build a
mhm.
bond like that. I
Yeah.
always think that's an interesting concept, not just in movies, just in real life.
Yeah.
Because I have a pretty strong relationship with my grandmother
Hmm.
for sure. But anyway, where would you rate this movie?
I mean, I think this movie is really good. My personal enjoyment of it is a little lower than that.
Mhm.
So I'd say like 3.5 to 4 in that
Okay,
range.
that's
Yeah.
fair. I'm gonna go with a 4.
Uh-huh.
And if I was to put this in a tier ranking, I'll probably say like a B for Totoro.
Yeah, I think it's closer to the top than it is to the bottom of his
Mm,
films. But yeah, like I said, it's just a personal preference thing. It is a little slow, at least
yeah,
at the beginning. It picks up as it goes along.
yeah, for sure. I like this movie so the next movie that I like that we're about to talk about, I like it slightly more because it's more entertaining. And that movie is Pacific Rim. And the
Hmm.
plot summary to Pacific Rim, according to IMDb, is as a war between humankind and monstrous sea creatures rages on, a former pilot and a trainee are paired up to drive a seemingly obsolete special weapon in a desperate effort to save the world from the apocalypse that they will be canceling in this movie, as Idris Elba brilliantly says in his monologue when he goes, "Today we're canceling the apocalypse."
Yeah. It's very much like the speech in Independence Day. It's
Yeah,
basically the same thing.
yeah. Yeah, but I remember today when we were recording it, you texted me and he said I feel bad for saying this, but I don't think I'm gonna have a lot of nice things to say about Pacific Rim, and
Yeah,
I'll
you
let you
don't.
start with your rebuttal of sorts.
I don't really like this movie.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to like it, And I think because I hadn't seen it in a while. I saw it when it first came out, of course, because I was already on the Del Toro train at that point.
Mm.
Like I've got season tickets to Del Toro now. Um, and I was kind of excited. And then it was just like, it's just not, it just doesn't really seem like a Del Toro movie to me. There are things about
Yeah.
it, but it just doesn't really have his personal stamp, I don't feel like. I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
To
did.
me, it's sort of like a Zack Snyder movie. It's
Yeah,
basically if Del Toro made a Zack Snyder
I
movie.
think it. Yeah, because this is more like kaiju monster, like Japanese, like
It
Godzilla,
is.
Gamera kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, I think maybe I can see a world. I can see a multiverse where like he has his name as the producer, and then somebody else is directing this. But I mean, he
And
said in the past that he loves those giant Japanese monster movies.
yeah, well, okay. So here's kind of the backstory of this movie. So you got to think that he hadn't released a movie since 2008, and this is 2013. So there's a
Mm,
5 year gap. So right after he makes Hellboy 2, which to me is still like maybe my second favorite of
yeah, in
his.
my favorite movie.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah,
good.
I love that movie.
Anyway, so right after he makes that, that's when he gets hired by Peter Jackson to work on the Hobbit movies.
Right.
And he spent 2 years in New Zealand, like writing scripts, doing pre-production work, like supervising designs, like doing all the prep to get to make the Hobbit movies.
Hmm.
And then because of like legal troubles that and some like rights disputes, those movies kept getting pushed back. And finally, he's like, I can't do this. I'm out of here. He quits the Hobbit. So that's 2 years of his
Hmm.
life gone. You know, movie he didn't get or was going to be two movies that he didn't get to make, and then
Right.
it turned into three movies, and that's a whole other episode.
Yeah, I think Peter
Then
Jackson was a big advocate for it being two movies.
yeah, I think that the three movie thing, that's the studio, like
Yeah,
that's
they
just
have to.
horrible studio calculations. Anyway, that's not the point. Then so he moves on right after he gets off of that movie. He moves on to trying to make At the Mountains of Madness, which is an
Mhm.
H.P. Lovecraft adaptation. And it was going to have like, it was going to star Tom Cruise.
Oh wow,
And,
I didn't know.
and I think I can't remember if it was Warner Brothers or Universal, but it was one of those that he was in negotiations with. But he was very firm. He was like, I need $150 million to make this movie,
Mhm.
and it has to be rated R.
Yeah,
And the studio was like, no, we're not doing that. We're not
mhm.
going to make $150
Yeah,
million dollar rated R movie.
yeah. I knew that was
Not
gonna.
even with Tom
Yeah.
Cruise.
Well, I knew that was a passion project for him for years.
Yeah.
I didn't know Tom Cruise was ever attached to that. That's
I
interesting.
don't know if it was ever like fully official, but that was what was going around at the time. And I think Tom Cruise was interested in doing it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Do you
point
know if he's
being,
still trying to pursue that to some extent?
I think that's dead. I think that's
Yeah,
dead. But the point being,
that
like,
sucks.
Pacific Rim was something that he had like worked on the script with. I think the guy's name is like Jeff Meacham or something,
Mm-hmm.
who's sort of the main credited writer on the movie because it was his original story. He had been working on the script with him for a little bit, and he kind of had that movie in his back pocket. And his deal at whichever studio it was, I can't remember, was like, okay, if I don't get to do At the Mountains of Madness, then I'm going to direct Pacific Rim.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, he was just going to be a co-writer and producer on Pacific Rim, like you said.
Right.
And then the studio balked at Mountains of Madness. And so the next day he signed on to direct Pacific Rim. So it kind of was just like he spent 5 years trying to get multiple projects off the ground.
Right.
Nothing's working. And he's just like,
Mm.
I want to make a movie. And this is the
Right.
movie he made. So I think it's just like somebody who's just trying to get back in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And fair enough. He made a big kaiju robot movie. Cool.
Um. Yeah, that's interesting, Jackson. I didn't. Yeah, I didn't think about that. He didn't make a movie between. this and Hellboy too.
Yeah, because everything kept falling through. His career was just like
Right.
spiraling, and this was his way of just getting back into making a
Yeah.
movie, any movie.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
now he's on the up and up. Like he's doing real good right now. Because
Yeah.
he's an Oscar winner. He's a multiple.
Multiple Oscars at this point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because he won for directing for Shape of Water, and then for Best Picture, and then he won
Yeah.
for Pinocchio last year.
Pinocchio. Yep.
Yeah, and then he's hosting or you hosted Cabinet of Curiosity on
Yeah.
Netflix, and he got a Frankenstein movie coming out.
Yeah. And he's produced so much stuff. Like
Hmm.
he's worked in television a lot. He's co-written novels. Yeah, he's always working on something. But
Yeah, for sure.
his film work has sort of slowed down a little bit.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I'm really looking forward to that Frankenstein story because that I love Frankenstein, and it'll be
Yeah, he's
interesting.
been wanting to make that forever because yeah, he's really into that stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But anyways, my quick thoughts about this movie is this movie's pretty awesome. My response to you um for, of that text message was at least it's better than the Bayformers. Those movies suck ass. I
I
hate
will
those movies.
stand by the first one and sort of the third one.
Okay,
But
I'll give you that.
yeah, I never saw the fourth one. I only
Not
saw
worth it.
parts of the fifth one.
Not
And
worth it.
yeah, yeah, I got tired of it after a while.
Yeah. Bumblebee was really good. I like Bumblebee.
I didn't see it.
Yeah,
And I
it's
didn't
good.
see the new one either.
I freaking love this movie. This movie's pretty awesome.
Hmm.
Um, I love the whole, you have to have like two pilots kind of operating this giant mech suit. I thought that was really
Yeah.
interesting. Because because like on your brain, like your actual brain, like there's one side that controls your right, one side of your body and one side that controls the other side of your body.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of neat. And plus, I mean, it's a giant mech suit too, so like yeah, it kind of makes sense that two people have to operate it. Um,
Right.
and these giant robots are called Jaegers. I believe that's a German term, right? Jaeger.
Yeah, but I don't know what it means. I didn't look
Okay.
that up or anything.
I like how like they're treated like rock stars. I thought that was real neat.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cool idea.
Mm.
It's just not for me. I don't know. I okay, here's what I do like about the movie. There's certain like I see what it's going for, and
Mm.
it's trying to set up this story that's sort of thematically about how we need to break down the boundaries that we set up between ourselves as
Mm.
people in order to accomplish whatever our common goal is, you
Right.
know?
But they're taking out giant ass monsters. Eventually.
Yeah. And so I think that's a nice it's a nice metaphor. I just don't think
Right.
it's handled as deftly as in some of his other movies.
Yeah.
Um there's some other stuff I like. I think I love all the Ron Perlman stuff in this
Mm.
movie.
Oh, I just like Charlie Day in this movie. He's just like a
See,
fucking
I
fighting dude.
that's the other thing is I think that almost none of the actors come out of this movie looking good. Like
Oh,
I
really?
don't I don't think Charlie Day's performance is his is
I'll give you
okay.
Charlie Hunt.
It's what?
Oh, the main character is his name like Charlie Hunnam or something like that.
Charlie Hunnam. Yeah, I think that's an absolutely awful
I don't
performance.
think it's awful. It's just dull.
It's dull, but like clearly, I mean, because he's like Australian or something, right?
Mm.
Or he's or British. I can't remember, but he's struggling doing an American accent in this movie.
Right.
Like it sounds so forced, and
Okay.
I've never been a Charlie Hunnam fan. I just don't get it. I get it.
Well,
I mean, he's hunky,
yeah.
but I don't find him to have any sort of charisma or anything
Yeah.
interesting going on
Yeah, I
as an
didn't really
actor.
notice the him trying to fake an American accent thing because we're in a world where Keanu Reeves was in Bram Stoker's Dracula, and the
Yeah,
British
which is
guy.
also, yeah,
That's
that's no,
terrible.
that's not good either.
Well,
But
I think what throws me I think what's so noticeable about that one compared to Hunnam is that like Keanu Reeves has that iconic like kind of surfer voice like,
he
"Whoa,
does.
I'm kind of Keanu Reeves," and that voice comes out when he's trying to do the
Yeah.
British accent in Dracula, and I don't for me I don't see him trying to fake an accent here like, but that's just me personally.
To me, it just sounds very stilted. Like, especially
Yeah.
when he does voiceover. Oh my god, the voiceover in this movie. Oh, it's so bad. I don't want to crap on this movie because it's Del Toro and I love Del Toro, but I just don't like this one.
Um, I will say one of my favorite aspects of this movie, going back to Charlie Day, and I like the other guy, that he's kind of around, like that scientist dude.
He's fun and he's doing something way over the top. Like
Mm,
his character, like both him and Charlie Day are going over the top, but in
mhm,
very different ways. And it kind of works and it adds some fun to this
mhm,
movie. I just wish that the lead characters had the same kind of charisma.
right.
And I don't want to take anything. Okay, so Rinku Kikuchi, that's the one that plays Mako.
Mm,
I like her in other stuff. I don't think she's very good in this, and I don't know if it's because she's struggling trying to do a role in English because most of her other roles have been in Japanese. Uh, I don't know. Maybe it's just her character isn't fully written, and apparently there's a much longer cut of this movie
yeah.
that's never going to see the light of day. That's got a lot more character
Mhm,
building in it, but I don't know.
yeah, but I like how like the scientist dude keeps making fun of Charlie Day, and he calls him like a kaiju groupie, and he's British, and
Yeah.
he says kaiju groupie. It's funny. Well, what do you think about the action scenes in this movie?
uh, I mean, okay, here my problem with the action scenes is this. They're all kind of the same.
Mm,
Like it's always like nighttime and it's raining and they're in the
mhm.
water and like I would have liked some variety to them. At least like have one of them take place in the daytime. Come on.
Yeah, and they're always like in the ocean too. But to be
Yeah,
right, frank, the kaiju or ocean creatures, so that kind of makes sense.
they are. And there's that one scene where they sort of go into the city
Mm.
and all of that. And that's one of the coolest parts is like when it turns out that one has wings,
Oh
like when the
yeah,
wings
forgot
come
about
out,
that.
because I had forgotten that it had wings. And so when the wings came out, I was like, oh, okay. See,
Mhm,
that's cool. But it's just like it's the same problem we have with, or at least that me and Eric have with a lot of the Marvel movies,
mm.
is it's just like CGI thing fighting another CGI thing. And I
Yeah.
don't know, it just doesn't. And especially with Del Toro, Del
Mm.
Toro's known for being a very practical, like tactile
Right.
filmmaker, and he just doesn't do it in this movie. And I guess he's just adapting to a different type of movie, and that's fine. He got it out
Right.
of his system, and and we all moved on.
Yeah, but this movie definitely had a very Top Gun kind of feel to it because all these Jaeger pilots are like these egotistical, like like assholes that you kind of love, and then they have like their call signs like in Top Gun.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna dive into some a little bit of a controversial topic here.
Okay.
Um, I love how the anti-kaiju wall was good commentary on things going on right now.
Yeah,
It,
and it's before it came out before any of this wall business.
but the thing that I found interesting about that was is that you know we find out later in this segment or sequence in the movie that a kaiju destroyed the wall.
Yeah, just rip
Yeah.
through it in like an hour.
So like
Yeah.
I'm thinking to myself, you're okay. So the purpose of building this anti-kaiju wall is to keep the kaiju out, so you can save money from all the destruction. Destroying anyway was going to cost more money to build it. But if you don't have the wall, then they're going to destroy the city, and you're going to have the Jaeger program, which is what the wall is trying to evaporate or get rid of.
Yeah.
So like
Mhm.
either way, you're like no matter what you do, you're spending money.
Yeah.
Like you're
And
just gonna,
clearly the wall doesn't work. It
yeah,
just doesn't work.
yeah. I don't. Yeah, it's just kind of crazy to me. Um, Now I do love Mr. Ron Perlman in this movie. I think he's pretty.
I think that's the best aspect of the movie,
Yeah.
and that's the part that feels the most Del Toro to me. Just the
Mhm.
idea that there's like this black market businessman who's harvesting all the body parts from these
Right.
dead
Well,
kaijus. And,
yeah. Well, the whole like black market kaiju segment of this movie feels very Hellboy. Like that's like right up
yeah,
girl's alley.
yeah,
Yeah, and like I said in our Hellboy 2 Person Over Last Del Toro video, I love those scenes where it's just a bunch of creatures just running around
oh
everywhere.
yeah, the what is it called? Like the fairy market or
The
whatever
troll
it's
market.
called. Troll market, yeah. Yeah, that's the best part of the movie, yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
just the amount of an imagination that like these
Yeah.
artists like to come up with all these creatures. Like it's pretty amazing.
And there are traces of that in this movie. Like
Mm,
I like the little detail of all the Hong Kong monks, and they've
mm,
built kind of this shrine out of a dead kaiju, and they're like chanting and praying. Do you remember
right.
that?
Now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's barely in the movie, but
Okay.
it's a nice little touch. And
Mm,
I just wish this movie had more of those sort of personal touches from Del Toro rather than
right.
just being a straight up like monsters versus robots,
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, well, you
I
said
don't know.
that there's actually a longer cut of this movie. Maybe it was in there, and maybe it's like a.
Maybe I mean I think he said he cut like an hour out of the
Mm,
movie because he wanted it to be just like a basically a 2 hour movie, and that's fine.
yeah.
I get the impulse to do that, and I don't know that I would want to watch a 3 hour
Mm,
version of this movie, um
right.
even if it did have
Mm,
more like character stuff and world building, but
mm. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think overall for me, I think this is an above average like summer blockbuster action kind of movie with giant robots and monsters. Like it's nothing
Right,
like special. Like it's not like
yeah.
among the best. It's not like a Top Gun Maverick or like a Jaws or like Pirates of the Caribbean or anything like that.
Hmm.
But it's a little fun movie. It's a fun movie. It's a stupid movie. Like you
Yeah, it is a
completely
very
turn your brain
stupid
off.
movie. It really is. That's the best word for it. It's just dumb.
Yeah.
It's and like I said, I think if he hadn't been coming off this 5 years of just creative frustration,
Mm,
not being able to get the movies he really wanted to make, you know,
mm,
um, that it's fine that he did this.
mm,
It's just like, let's just make a movie. Basically, it's an exercise for him.
mm.
Let's make a big summer like CGI blockbuster. And he did it. And it's just probably my least favorite of his movies.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely his least kind of Del Toro-y
Yeah, for
movie.
sure.
It's like you said. I mean, there's elements of his style in there a little bit, but like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think you saying that really kind of cleared things up. But
Mm.
him just wanting to make a movie just so desperately that
Yeah.
the other one just would not get off the ground at all.
Right.
Um, I still hope one day we can get an Amount of the Madness movie from him, but hope
I don't know. He said last year during something, I can't remember where he was where he said this, but he said like most of the movies he wants to make going forward are animated.
oh really?
Yeah, he
Yeah,
wants
well
to
good
do
for
more of
him.
those. He's got a couple of live action movies he wants
Hmm.
to make, but he's become really passionate about working in animation. So
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, we haven't got to Pinocchio yet, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think that was a very unique animated movie there for
Hmm.
sure. And I love to see more animated movie. Did he say that he wanted to exclusively do stop motion animation, or did he want to do all kinds of styles?
I don't think he specified. I expect him being him, he would want to try different things.
Okay.
Um, but I don't want to speculate on that because I don't have like the full context of it.
Yeah.
It's just something I read. Yeah.
Cool. If you don't have anything else to say about Pacific Rim, do you want to get the favorite part and least favorite part?
Sure.
Okay. Do you want to go first?
Okay. Favorite part. Hmm. Well, I mean, I guess the Ron Perlman stuff, but I do like the idea of I like the idea at the heart of this movie, which is about people coming together and getting over like I said, the boundaries that people set up between them, whether it be
Right.
cultural or racial or
Hmm.
country. I like that. I
Hmm.
just wish the movie went deeper into that. But I
Right.
do like that. I think
Hmm.
it's a solid thematic core, even if the rest of the movie doesn't live up to it necessarily.
Yeah. What about least favorite part?
Uh
Hmm.
probably Charlie Hunnam's acting.
Yeah. I
It's
figured
just
you would.
it's so dull and wooden and
Hmm.
awkward. I just don't get him as an actor. Like I
Yeah.
said, he's hunky. That's about it. You know.
Yeah. He's the next pretty boy that got
Yeah.
made in the pretty boy factory.
Right.
Yeah, like Megan Fox. It's like it's just some like that just seemed like she was made in the factory. Like, there's really no personality to her. Um, my favorite part is kind of just similar to yours. I just love the whole concept of connecting your mind together to control the Jaegers. I think that was real
Hmm.
interesting. Kind of different for like a robot movie, honestly.
Yeah.
Oh, and then you had the whole thing where Charlie Day linked up with one of the Kaiju babies or
Yeah.
whatever.
That's cool. Yeah.
And it figures out that they're trying to colonize
Hmm.
the world. And that's classic like sci-fi alien monster stuff.
That's the other thing about this movie that doesn't feel Del Toro to me is
Mm.
that the monsters are the bad guys for
Oh yeah,
once.
that too.
Like that just doesn't feel like it's in line with kind of his vision of the world. Like in
Mm.
this, it's just like here are these monsters. They don't have any personality or any character. They're just monsters that want to come into our world, destroy everything, and take over. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, least favorite part is I wanted a better explanation to why the Jaeger program failed. Like I feel like we didn't really get into that whole lot.
That's probably in the 3 hour cut of the
Yeah.
movie.
And then what is your rating for this movie?
It's like two, maybe two and a half if I'm feeling generous.
Okay. Um,
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a 3.5. I
Okay.
think it's fun enough. Like you kind like with that whole kind of Top Gun like ego maniacal, not maniacal, but egotistical pilot kind of thing. It's just a fun summer
Hmm.
action movie, like with not a lot of flails, and it does what it needs to do. Just be a
Yeah.
fun action movie.
Hmm.
But anyways, let's get to The Shape of Water. And the plot synopsis for The Shape of Water, according to IMDb, at a top secret research facility in the 1960s, a lonely janitor formed a unique relationship with an amphibious creature that is being held in captivity. Now, what is your just quick overall thoughts about The Shape of Water?
Well, in stark contrast to Pacific Rim, this is Del Toro at his just most Del
Oh,
Toro.
absolutely.
Like this is a core essential Del Toro, not just because it was like, successful and it won like multiple
Mm.
Oscars and stuff like that. But this is just one of those kind of it's up there with Pan's Labyrinth and maybe Kronos a little bit and Hellboy as being kind of the Rosetta Stone for
Yeah,
understanding him as a filmmaker.
yeah.
So yeah, I really enjoyed this movie.
This is definitely in my top five for sure, and we'll get
Yeah.
to rankings um in a little bit.
Oh goodness, I don't know if I've ever
Oh,
done a
I
Del
mean,
Toro ranking before.
yeah, but I love the intro to this movie because it feels kind of like a French. kind of movie, like a romance move kind of movie.
Oh yeah, and that music is a big part of
Oh
that
yeah. Well, I
Alexandre
remember I
Desplat. Yeah,
texted you while watching this movie, and I said that this has to be my favorite score in any Del Toro movie.
it's a really good one.
Yeah.
And he
Um.
works with Desplat a lot.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna ask you that. Like, did he have like his own John Williams?
I don't know that guy. I think Desplat is. I don't know if it's Desplat or Desplat. I don't know how to pronounce it. I think he's done a lot of his scores.
Mm,
I don't know if he's done all of them,
okay.
but yeah,
But yeah.
he, yeah.
Yeah. Really, really good music. And I'll talk more about music later in the movie
Mm-hmm.
or later in this discussion. And then there's that tracking shot of the camera going through um Eliza's
Yeah.
apartment and it's all underwater like you're
Uh
like in her
huh.
dream world. And I thought that was real neat because this kind of goes back to Pan's Labyrinth where you have a female character who kind of lives in like this fantasy world or he wants to live in a fantasy world.
Right.
And you kind of get it in like that kind of insight into
Mm-hmm.
Eliza's kind of fantasy world. And also you have the neighbor they get introduced to
Uh huh.
a little bit later after this intro. And that's when you establish that she loves music and dancing and
Uh
watching
huh.
old movies.
Oh, the scenes of them like watching old movies and they're just like sort
Mm.
of dancing just with their feet on the
Oh
couch, you
yeah.
know? It's just the cutest thing in the
Yeah, I love
world.
when people that's like probably one of my favorite things in movies is people watching movies and being entranced
Right.
by movies. Because it's like a fourth wall break kind of meta
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. Like, another example would be like in The Fableman when the young Sammy is watching The Greatest Show on Earth, the Cecil D. DeMille
Right.
movie, and he's getting real engrossed in the movie.
Yeah.
I just love saying that because movies have
From
a
movie, if you like that kind of thing in movies, you really need to watch. There's an Italian movie from the 80s. I think it's from like 88 or 89. It's called Cinema Paradiso.
yeah. I keep meaning to watch that. That seems like a
You'll
movie I would love.
that's the kind of movie you would like because it's about
Mm,
someone like growing up, like befriending an old man
mm.
that works at a movie
Oh
theater
yeah, that's
and
that's
falling
completely
in
up my
love with
alley.
movies. Like it's just right up your alley. It's a great movie.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah, definitely movies. I think for me and then you and Eric and
Uh-huh.
some of the other guests I had on the set, movies can have a really powerful effect on you. And I definitely had that. It definitely kind of had that feeling when I watched Poor Things, like I was just engrossed in the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, yeah, and that was all myself. That really helped that out.
Yeah.
Um, I think one of my favorite characters from a Del Toro movie is Octavia Spencer's Zelda because he's always talking about like her husband Brutus,
Yeah.
and she's one of those characters that you see in a lot of movies that like kind of like that archetype where like it's like gossip. She's like a gossip kind of character.
Yeah, and it's usually played by Octavia Spencer.
Yeah, it's like
She's played that character several
yeah,
times.
yeah. I heard this person is sleeping around.
Yeah.
Um, now let's get to Michael Shannon.
Oh my gosh.
Because this guy, he's a complete misogynistic, racist bastard.
He is the worst.
Like,
He is, yeah.
like one of his first scenes is he walks into the bathroom with Eliza and Zelda because they're both janitors in this.
Yeah, they're cleaning the bathroom. Yeah.
Yeah, and he just straight up pees in front of them.
Yeah. And just is talking to making casual conversation the whole
Yeah,
time.
but he pees weird. Like he has like his hands on his hips as he's peeing. It's very strange. It is very, very strange.
Yeah, everything about the character is weird. Like his relationship with his wife is so weird and
Yeah.
creepy. And you don't get a whole lot of that in the movie, but you
Mm.
get enough.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then like I said, when he first walks into the bathroom, he says, I'm hoping I'm not interrupting thing. Girl talk, probably.
Yeah, everything out of his mouth is just despicable. But he
Yeah,
does it, well, at least at the beginning, he does it in such a friendly way, I guess. I don't know. What I will say is you got to admire the commitment of an actor like Michael Shannon. He's like,
mm,
okay, this character is a total piece of shit. How am I going to play this in a way that you still want to keep watching him? And he figures it out. I don't know.
yeah. You
He
definitely.
makes,
Well, I mentioned this is like a really older episode in the Brad Bird video
mhm,
when we were talking about the Iron Giant, the character Ken Manley,
mhm.
where yeah, he's this bad guy, very much like a Michael Shannon in this movie, where
Yeah.
he's a complete bastard. Like he doesn't like anybody different than him, than
Mhm.
a straight white cis male.
Yeah.
He thinks anybody else is below him, but he comes across to this kid who got huge as like this really like nice guy. He's like, "Hey there, sport. How's it going, Slugger?"
Yeah.
Very kind of like 1950s, 60s
Mhm.
kind of mentality. And I feel like Michael Shannon in this movie kind of has that kind of feel to it. But
Yeah.
oh, sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, like, it's been said a lot before, but the best villains are the ones that are completely 100% convinced that they're the hero.
Hmm.
And Michael Shannon is the ultimate example of that. Like, this guy absolutely believes in what he's doing. And he has a lot of conviction. He just has conviction for the worst stuff.
Right.
So,
Well, I don't know if you knew this, but there's actually an Easter egg to Creature from the Black Lagoon in Michael Shannon's house.
what is it?
So they're just moved into this house, right? And
Uh
then the
huh.
boxes, the moving boxes or the packing boxes, had the word Allard on there, a reference
Okay.
to William Allard, who
Okay.
wrote Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, it's a little reference to him because Del Toro loves those movies. Like
Of course. I mean, this movie is just it's just him doing. I think I read somewhere that when he was a kid and he saw Creature from the Black Lagoon, like his favorite character was the Gill Man, and he thought the Gill Man should end up with the girl.
right.
So he made this movie where essentially the Gill Man gets the girl.
I think he said the part or the shot where the Gale Man is swimming under Julie Adams had a really profound effect on him as a boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool because I remember when I was younger and I watched Frankenstein for the first time, the scene that always sticks out to me is when he throws the little girl in
Oh
the
God.
lake.
Yeah.
Yeah, that and that's a tragic moment compared to the scene that had an effect on Del Toro. But
Right.
it's like a moment that you watched when you were younger, and you just cannot get it out of your head.
Well, because the monster in that sense, like he doesn't think he's doing anything bad. He's
mm,
just playing with this little girl. He doesn't know that she's gonna die when he
right?
throws her in the water.
Yeah, it's very poor things. Like
It is,
yeah,
yeah.
he's like he's a child in that. I think
Yeah.
that's what Go was kind of going for. It's like yeah, it's like what if like we really lean into like the Frankenstein story where this person is a child in an
Mm-hmm.
adult body kind of thing. But I think my moment and Del Toro's moment are very similar because they both humanize the
Right.
monster.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now going back to Michael Shannon just real quick, the most disgusting line that he says in this movie. He says that the creature is an affront to God, saying that God was created by man in his image, and he could look, and he wouldn't look like the creature. He looked
Yeah.
like me or you, referring to Zelda,
Yeah.
who is a black woman. Uh,
Yeah.
and he said, "Well, maybe it's just me."
It's really terrible.
Yeah, And the scary thing is that there are people that think that have thought like
Oh
that
yeah.
and still
No,
think like that to this
it's a
day.
real thing. It's a real
Yeah, and
thing.
it is absolutely disgusting
Right. It
that he
is.
just can't see Zelda or
Mm-hmm.
um Eliza or probably Eliza's gay neighbor, played brilliantly by Richard Jenkins.
I love the whole cast of this movie.
Yeah, like
This
he
is if I was crapping on the acting in Pacific Rim, I have no notes
right,
for this movie. Every single person on screen is just
right.
excellent, excellent work.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I just like the
Yeah.
yeah. And what I'm saying is like he probably wouldn't. He he just thinks all these people that are different from him are beneath
Yeah.
him. You know, could he think? Could you know? He's just like I said, he's a straight white male American person.
Yeah. I tell you, the character that really stood out on this viewing, and I've watched this movie a
Mm.
number of times. The one that I really loved this time was Dimitri, aka
Oh
Dr.
yeah.
Hofstadler. Hofstadler. I don't remember exactly how you say his name. Dimitri, though. I just love that you have this guy, he's like a Russian
Mm,
spy, but ultimately his true allegiance is to science.
mm,
And he helps them because, like he says, he doesn't want to see a
mm.
beautiful, intricate creature destroyed. I love that.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
Kind of the
Pinocchio had a very
unsung hero of this
yeah.
movie.
Well, Pinocchio had the very similar thing where the bad guy's sidekick like turns to the good guy.
Yeah, yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah, Spot Saturo or
Yeah.
something like that.
Pastor
Yeah,
I gotta say, my favorite character is Richard Jenkins, Giles.
I do love him. Yeah, he's so sad and
Mm.
lonely, but
Yeah,
just such a good-hearted man. I love him. Yeah.
yeah. I just think I don't know. I think the second because it's my second time watching this movie. And I'm definitely gonna watch it way more now.
Mm-hmm.
After doing this, but I just relate to a lot of these misfit characters
Mm-hmm.
because I talked about this before, but I think that's why I connect it to the Universal monsters and especially like Frankenstein, the Wolfman, and Phantom of the Opera because they're outcasts, and I felt
Mm-hmm.
like that for a good
Yeah.
part of my life. I didn't really have like a clique,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know. I just really related to these characters in this
Yeah.
movie, especially Richard Jenkins. I mean, I'm straight, I'm not gay, but like being somebody who is kind of weird, didn't really
Right.
have a lot of friends or
Mm-hmm.
anything like that. And I like the whole when he's talking to the creature and he says, maybe we're both at our time, we're just Wellix or something like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I thought that's a really powerful it's a really powerful line in the movie. And I think it's interesting that the main character in this movie is voiceless. At
Yes.
that
Oh,
time that this movie takes place, a lot of people were voiceless.
yeah.
You know, like it was. I mean, it was only the decade where like the black community like started standing up to their white oppressors.
Right. And you see a little bit of that in this movie. There's the scene where she's in the apartment with Richard Jenkins and the news is on and it's showing the the riots and stuff
Mm,
down south and like the police beating black people with hoses and stuff
right.
like that. And he's just like, "Oh, turn the channel." He doesn't want to watch it
Mm,
because at this point he's still not like he's still closed off, you know. Obviously he
right.
opens up as the movie goes on.
But going back to like the character being mute, um, I think it's really important. I think the most important scene where that played a huge role is when Michael Shannon tries to assault her. Because he's like,
Yeah.
well, that's the good thing that I like about you, Eliza, is because you can't talk. And he's basically saying, well, yeah, I can do whatever I want to you, and you're not going to say anything.
Yeah.
Forgetting the
And
fact that
we've
he knows sign language, and Zelda knows sign language.
yeah. And of
Because she
course
has
we've
someone as
seen the scene with his wife where he's like having sex with his wife and he puts his hand with his rancid, like
Oh, I have to
reattached
skip that
fingers
part.
over. Okay.
Yeah,
He
'cause my
puts his
mom was in the
hand
house.
over. Okay. He puts his hand over his wife's mouth
Oh,
because he doesn't
interesting.
want her making any noise while they're having sex. He's just the worst. It's terrible.
He's a terrible human being. But no, I thought that was kind of an interesting.
Yeah. And Sally Hawkins, man, she's great in this movie.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's a challenge, when one of your tools as an actor is the way that you deliver lines, and she doesn't
Yeah.
have any lines.
Well,
She just, I mean, she has sign language lines,
mm,
but that's a whole different. And I don't know if she already knew sign language or if she
mm,
had to learn it for this movie, but that's a
right.
whole other challenge. Is
Oh yeah, and it's
yeah.
yeah. I think Sally Hawkins is really good in this movie, and they say that the most expressive part of your body is your eyes, so that
Mm-hmm.
really had to come in handy in this movie.
Right.
It's like her facial expressions, or especially her eyes.
Yeah, and she does like all these little subtle things with her
Mm,
face, just like how she'll get that little smile on her face
right.
whenever her character is
Yeah,
experiencing some
she's
sort
very
of triumph.
mousy. She's a very kind of mousy.
Yeah, but
But,
she does that. She uses that to her advantage, and
mm,
it makes her character seem very powerful.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Um, and I love the part when she's trying to plan, or she's trying to tell Giles, that she wants to break the creature out of Freddy Creature, and he said
Hmm.
like, "No, we can't do that." And he basically says, "If we do nothing, um, he's not human." Or no, no, he says, "If we do nothing, he's not human." And then she says, "If we do nothing, then neither are we,"
Hmm.
kind of thing. And that's another thing that makes Michael Stand just a piece of shit. Is again, he does not see people that are not like him as
Right.
human or as beneath them, and he
Yeah.
beats this creature and socks it,
Yeah.
and it's
And he
really
has he has
sad.
no idea what the I think the official name is the amphibious man.
Mm,
Michael Shannon has no idea what the amphibious man is capable of.
right.
He doesn't know that he has healing powers.
Mm,
That's a whole other element of this movie.
yeah.
It's a minor part, but
Well,
it is there.
let's talk about the amphibious man because I think this might
Oh gosh.
man this. I mean, next to like Hocus Pocus, 'cause, I mean, because that's a childhood classic of mine. I think this might be my favorite Doug Jones performance.
More than Abe Sapien singing Barry Manilow with
Oh
Hellboy.
yeah, they kind of blend together because they're kind of a similar kind of character, but
Very similar, both
but it's
fish
going
people.
back,
Yeah.
but yeah, but no, but going back to Sally Hawkins, where she cannot use her voice in this movie,
Yeah.
she has to be expressive with her body, like Doug Jones does too.
Exactly. And Doug Jones, we might have talked about this when we
Mm,
did our first Guillermo del Toro episode, but he trained as a mime
yeah.
in college. Like he's like a classical mime. So that is his whole thing is figuring out how to use his body to
Mm,
express himself in performances. I remember hearing him in an interview talking about when he was going to play the Silver Surfer, which of course
mm,
they redubbed his voice, and that's very
yeah.
unfortunate. But but he was doing all the movements and
Mm,
everything, and he would like pour through the comic books
mm,
and try to figure out what are the main poses that the Silver Surfer uses. How do I move from one pose to the next
mm,
one? What is the motivation of the character to
right.
move this way? um and he would just like get in in like a dance studio with mirrors on the
Mm,
walls, and just work on this for hours and hours, just trying to figure out the movement of the Silver Surfer. And I'm sure he did the exact same thing for this movie and for Pan's Labyrinth and
mm.
anything else he does. He's a very, very gifted
Oh yeah.
actor that almost never gets to talk or show his real
Right.
face.
If Doug Jones was gonna get nominated for any Oscar ever in his illustrious career, it would be for this movie.
I think so too. But
Yeah, the
the
Oscars.
Academy being the way it is, they're never going to nominate a performance like this. It's the same. They didn't nominate Andy Serkis for Lord of the Rings,
Yeah, or King
even
Kong.
though that was the biggest character that came out,
Mm.
in that time period. Like everybody was talking about Gollum
Yeah,
when
and
they were
that
talking
technology
about,
was relatively new at the time.
yeah. But I mean, that is definitely,
Mm.
that's the technology plays a part of it, but that is an Andy Serkis
Mm.
performance first and foremost. He was on set, he was
Oh yeah,
doing all the dialogue, doing all the movement. Yeah.
yeah, and he
And it's the
really
same with
goes for
this.
it. He really goes for it in that movie.
Yeah.
Like he's
But
crawling around and rolling in the mud and dirt and all
right.
that shit.
But they're never gonna, and maybe
Mm.
not never, but I don't foresee them in the near future ever nominating something like this.
Yeah, I mean,
That's sad.
and then the debate comes in for me at least. It's like, okay, if you're gonna nominate like that kind of performance where it's like CGI or like heavily maked up, like a Doug
Mm-hmm.
Jones or Andy Serkis, like would you count like voice acting? Like would Robin Williams
I
slightly get
I mean, there are
be
people out that
qualified
have
for?
advocated for that being a new category at the Oscars is best vocal performance. And I think that's legit. That and best stunt work.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a huge
Both
advocate
of
for that.
those both of those should be recognized by the Academy and aren't. It's very sad.
Music plays a pretty pivotal role in this film
Mm-hmm.
because that's how Eliza connects to the amphibious creature.
Yeah.
Is he plays records for
Yeah.
him and he likes it. And music is the universal language.
Well, technically math is the universal language and then music is
Man,
next.
screw that. I hate math. That
I
sucks.
don't like math either, but it is the same in every language.
Yeah, well, that's just about how I feel about the Cowboys being America's team. Like it really to be the Eagles.
That hasn't been true since the 90s. Come on.
Yeah, well, in my heart, it's the Eagles.
Oh, okay.
But anyways, but no, she connects with the creature through music. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's a really powerful thing. And
Music and hard boiled eggs.
oh yeah, that too. Yeah.
This really made me want a hard boiled egg.
Yeah, that's like one of those weird like character quirks that he has in this movie that I
Yeah.
like. Hard boiled eggs. He loves a hard
Hey, I
boiled
love
egg.
a hard boiled egg. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. But anyways, there's this really just beautiful sequence where she starts singing like this love song to the creature.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a fantasy scene, so she's able.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
it's one of the scenes that makes this movie
Mm.
special.
And it transitions to like this old school like Fred Astaire black and white like dance
Mm-hmm.
number, and
Yeah.
it's really just beautiful.
Yeah.
Because you just want to be with this creature. And let's get to the kind of controversial part of this movie. What did you think about the implied sex scene in this movie?
I mean, it's weird, but I just sort of accept it as being part of the reality of this movie. I mean,
Yeah, I kind of do that too.
it's a fairy tale, and it's not like the amphibious man is an animal. He's not. I would say he's closer to a person than he is to an animal.
Yeah,
But I don't know.
yeah, it's still a little.
Let's put it this way: the an animal, when a person, oh God, I'm about to say this. When a person does that with an animal, the animal is not giving consent for that to
Right.
happen. But in this case, in the movie, the amphibious man is capable and willing to participate.
Right.
So I don't think it's just a movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little weird. I kind of feel like you can eat your point across without doing that. But I mean, what you said, like the creature can consent to that.
Yeah. But I mean, I love the fact that one of the best picture Oscar winners of the past 100 years has been a movie where a woman has sex with a fish man.
Yeah, that's. But I think
That is super weird, but it won all these awards.
if you don't have anything else to say about this movie, do you want to get the favorite part and least favorite part?
Okay.
What is your favorite part of the movie?
It's so hard.
Yeah.
Um, I'm
It,
gonna give it. I'm gonna give it. It's gonna be a tie. It's gonna be. It's got to be just the 1-2 punch of Sally Hawkins and Doug Jones.
mm,
I mean, I there's a good case to be made for Michael Shannon. As much as you don't like his character, I love his performance because
oh
he's so
yeah.
committed to it. But if you don't have both of the for lack of a better term, romantic leads, uh, if their relationship doesn't work on screen, the movie doesn't work.
Right, for sure.
And I totally buy them falling in love based on music and hard boiled eggs.
Right. So what's your least favorite part?
Least favorite part, I don't like when the cat's head gets eaten.
Yeah.
That poor cat didn't do anything except freak the gill man out, or the
Mm,
amphibious man. Sorry, I keep calling him the gill man, but it's the amphibious man in this movie.
yeah. I would say I my favorite part is when Eliza is showing the creature music. Like I
Mm-hmm.
said, I think that's such a beautiful, poignant moment in the movie.
Yeah.
My least favorite part is probably I kind of wanted the creature to be more shrouded in mystery, or shrouded in mystery a little bit longer.
Okay.
Because they bring him in the tank and you see the hand, and then the next scene that involves the creature, like you see all of it, kind of. I kind of want it
Yeah.
maybe a little bit more of like a mystery, but like, I
Okay.
think they showed all of it too early. Like I want it maybe a little bit more like another scene.
Fair enough.
But overall, I mean, I can't really think of really anything I didn't like about this movie other than that.
Yeah.
And that's just like a small like nitpick, really.
Mm-hmm.
What about rating? Where would you rate this movie?
That's like a 4.5.
Yeah. I'm gonna go 5.
Okay.
I think this is one of his best movies. This is an A-tier movie for him, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so you ready for the last one?
Sure.
Pinocchio?
Pinocchio.
Pinocchio. In the plot summary for Pinocchio, according to IMDb, is a father's wish magically brings a wooden boy to life in Italy, giving him a chance to care for the child. Now, what is your overall thoughts about this movie?
Okay. So obviously this movie came out the same year as the Disney remake of Pinocchio, but it
Yes.
came out much later in the year. So when I saw the Disney remake, I was just like, "Oh, please, Guillermo del Toro, save us, please, from this monstrosity." And I was not, I was not disappointed. It's not like my favorites of everything he's done, but it is him all over. Uh, I like the direction that he took the story and the sort of way he adapted it. I've never read the book it's based on.
Hmm. I haven't
Um,
either.
I should probably read that at some point because it intrigues me. But uh, yeah, I really enjoy it. So
This is actually my second favorite Del Toro movie.
okay,
I don't know, this movie, there's something about this movie just really just charmed me.
mm-hmm.
It could just be, Pinocchio trying to discover the world, the music, the animation. But no, I love how this is like a different take on the Pinocchio story, where you
Mm-hmm.
have Geppetto who has a son, and I
Yeah,
love that connection with his son. And that song that he sings at the beginning, and it's the montage of him being around his son, like cutting down
yeah,
like a pine cone tree.
mm-hmm.
And I love the whole fact that he says when one thing dies, something else is reborn, which is complete
Mhm.
foreshadowing
Yeah.
for this movie, which is really interesting. And he said, we gotta get the perfect pine cone for this.
Mhm.
Um, and he makes shoes for Carlo.
Yeah.
And then you also learn that Geppetto is making a statue of the crucifix
Mhm.
of Jesus for his local church. And Carlo kind of hangs around with them in the church.
Mhm.
And he had the pine cone with them, and they're about to leave for the night. And Carlo is like, "Oh no, I forgot my pine cone." Goes back during an air raid because this is during like in a war. Like this whole movie set during
Well, I
a
mean,
war
that's what they
backdrop.
say. They say it's not even an air raid. It's
Mm.
just like planes getting rid of like extra bombs to like lighten their load or something like that.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's just one line in the narration, but yeah, it's
Oh,
not even
interesting.
the town being attacked. It's just planes like getting rid of these excess bombs,
Oh, that's
and it
pretty scrappy.
happens.
That's how they're doing it.
It's even worse than an air raid in some ways. It's just
Yeah, because the air raid
just
has a purpose. That's why you're
right.
destroying people. I mean, from their point of view, I'm not saying
Right.
I agree with that. I'm just
No,
saying,
this is just like carelessness and recklessness. Yeah, it's
yeah.
terrible.
There's a thing called an ocean.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, of course, like Fist and Ocean like dies, but like still,
Yeah, but there's plenty of them.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, the bomb gets dropped in at the church, and little Carlo dies, and it's really sad, and
Yeah.
Geppetto is really broken up by it, and he basically all he does is just stays by his Carlo's graves, like he hangs
Mhm.
out there, just
Yeah.
mourning his death, and then he it's like a huge time lapse kind of thing that goes on.
It's like 10 years or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Geppetto gets drunk one night, and he decides, and he's praying to God, like, "Oh, bring back Carlo to me." And then he chops down a tree
Yeah.
that the cricket or Sebastian Gate cricket. I want to call it Jiminy cricket.
Yeah. Sebastian in this.
Yeah, chopped down the tree that the cricket is in, and he makes a rugged version of Pinocchio, which I love a lot of Pinocchio
I do
in this
too.
film.
It's again, it's very Del Toro. I
Mm,
love that he doesn't look anything like a real person.
right.
He looks like a wooden basic shape of a person.
He looks
And
really
I
creepy.
he does. If you saw that walking around, you would be
Mm.
terrified.
Yeah, and like the fact that he's like learning to walk and like stand up,
Yeah,
that's real
he
creepy.
moves all strange. Yeah, I
Mm,
love that touch. It's like yeah, it's basically an abomination, but a
right.
lovable abomination.
Yeah, and I like going back to him being lovable, like what you were saying is like Pinocchio is like really annoying, but
Oh,
in like an
totally. Yeah.
endearing way. And
Yeah.
probably one of my favorite parts in this movie, probably my favorite Pinocchio line or part, is when he dies the second time, and then he goes up to like the rats or the armadillos
The
or whatever those things
rabbits.
were. Yeah, the rabbits.
Rabbits, yeah.
Yeah, he goes up to the rabbits who are playing cards, and he says, "Hey, guess what? I can't die. I cannot die." Just so annoying. It's like,
And they're like, "We know."
yeah, I just love that. It's so funny.
Which
Like,
all the rabbits voiced, by the way, by Tim Blake Nelson.
oh, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, the voice cast in this movie, it's amazing.
Yeah, you've got Kate Blanchett plays the monkey.
Yeah, and the puppets too. He did the voice of the puppets.
Oh, okay. That's just hilarious. It's like we're gonna get Kate Blanchett, and she's just gonna make monkey sounds for the whole movie.
Yeah, and then every once in a while, voice puppet.
Right.
But I love that part. I think the different voices that she does for those puppets are
Mhm.
really funny.
But
Um,
yes, I do love that Pinocchio is the result of like Geppetto in like a drunken stupor
mm,
carving this weird wooden boy
Mhm.
who's got like nails in the back of his neck, and like
Right.
he's just, everything about him is just kind of off and
Mm.
imperfect. And yeah, I love that
Yeah, it's
aspect
really
of it.
kind of a dark scene. Like for
Uh,
a family movie, it deals with some heavy topics.
it does.
I think the big thing with how this version is different than any other version that you've seen is when Pinocchio dies, like he has to wait a certain amount of time before he get um resurrected again.
Yeah.
And there's it's longer each time,
Uh-huh.
and he can either choose to wait that duration of the time or be revitalized and then be mortal for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
And at the end of this movie, when they're dealing with like um the storm on the ocean,
hmm
he dies and he wants to hurry up and get revitalized to help his father.
Yeah.
And he basically chooses to be mortal to do that.
hmm
And it kind of goes back to, and it kind of goes plays on the theme that like like life is precious
Yeah.
and we can go at any time.
I mean, leave it to Del Toro that when he finally makes a children's movie, he
Mm,
makes one that's about like the fleeting nature of life, and
mm,
also has a lot of stuff about fascism.
right. Yeah.
Because we wanted to talk about Christoph Waltz's character,
Oh yeah.
like that guy. He's a sort of stand. I mean, there's actual fascists in this
Mm,
movie, but Christoph Waltz represents sort of the manipulative nature of fascism,
mm,
in that it's a bait and switch, because fascists, they come to power on
mm,
sort of usually with like a sort of populist platform. They're like
right.
making all these promises. We're gonna make this country great again.
Mm,
You're gonna get all this stuff. Everything's gonna be
right.
great for you. And then when they come into power, they just exercise all their authority and take
Mm,
everything for themselves. And
right.
that's what Christoph Waltz's character is doing in this movie.
Yeah, and I just like how like it's a style of acting that Waltz is known for. It is really carried into like the animation. Like this is like the
Yeah.
most eccentric character in this movie. like he, and I think like the umbrella is a really nice touch for this
Mm.
character for sure. I will say I love how the military leader, voiced by Ron Perlman, I like how he kind of thinks that his son is perfect and he's the perfect Italian boy, built for
Yeah.
war. And he calls out Geppetto for letting Pinocchio run wild and be free and be a free thinker.
hmm
And I thought that was a really interesting commentary on child grooming.
I mean, yeah, and that comes back to, that's a big part of fascism too. Is
Mm,
like, I mean, Hitler did it as well with the Hitler Youth, where
right. Yeah.
you like cart all these young boys off to camp and brainwash them.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, I like that he substituted the sort of the usual Pleasure Island sequence
mm.
with like a youth, like military training
Right.
camp
Yeah.
in this
That was
movie.
pretty out there.
It's kind of out there, but it fits the setting, and
Mm,
it plays more into the themes that Del Toro just loves.
right. And I think where I was kind of coming from with the whole child grooming thing is we got this thing in our culture right now where art is being a lot more progressive,
hmm
and he got the right that's completely against that, saying that it's grooming children.
Right.
But yet you still force Christianity on them.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah, you want
that's
to
a
talk about child grooming, like that's kind of
that's
what
a
I was thinking.
difficult topic. I mean, you know, I don't really know what to say about it that's going to be valuable to anyone.
Yeah, but
But
it's like just even having like a lesbian couple kiss in like the Lightyear movie. It's like the most controversial thing ever.
Yeah.
I think that's ridiculous to me. Like compared to everything else, in that Disney movie, like has. Like, and I'm including like Marvel and Pixar and everything under the House of Mouse. Like, there's
Yeah.
a ton of stuff that can be scarring to children. But oh no, if a woman kisses another woman in an animated Pixar movie, like that's yeah, I think it's ridiculous.
It is. It
Yeah.
really is.
But I like your take. I like your take a little bit better than mine.
I mean, it's sort of the same take. We're just coming at it from different sides, but
Yeah, it's no,
yeah.
it's hypocritical. It's like you're grooming your kids to be a hateful person, to not think for
Yeah.
themselves.
Well,
Uh,
it's just, you want your kids to be like some version of you.
mhm. I will say I love the dynamic of Count Fallope, Fallope and the military leader wanting Pinocchio from themselves, because that's the only kind of value is seeing
Hmm.
him. So Count Balop wants him um to be this circus performer and this puppet
Yeah.
show that he has. And the military leader wants him to be like this perfect Italian soldier.
Yeah, because
Um,
he can't be killed,
yeah,
at
in
least not
Mussolini's
permanently.
army.
Yeah.
And I think that's funny how they just in the family movie they brought in a fascist, like a famous fascist figure in this movie.
Yeah, who in this movie is voiced by Tom Kenny, aka
Oh yeah,
SpongeBob. Yeah.
I saw that on IMDb. It's funny.
He's the voice of Mussolini.
Yep,
That's
SpongeBob.
hilarious.
Um, but no, yeah, that's all they want. That's all these characters want them for.
Yeah, it's just pure exploitation,
Yeah.
you know.
What do you think about the songs in this
I
version of
I
Pinocchio?
don't really. I wish they weren't in the movie. I
I
think
really.
it'd be a better movie. I think the music is fine. The
Mhm.
lyrics are so awkward. I just
Okay.
I there's something about the lyrics, and there every once in a while there'll be a moment in a song like there's one song that I really do like. It's the one I can't remember exactly how it goes because I don't think that the songs are super catchy, and I
Mm,
don't think they're really meant to be that catchy. They're just kind of like window dressing,
mm.
rather than the central focus of the story. The one that Pinocchio sings about his father, like while he's off, like doing his circus thing.
Yeah.
I like that song. That's the best one in the
Mhm.
movie for me. But yeah, the songs just they just don't work for me.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
know.
they're great in the moment, but like they're not like, compared to like the Disney version.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I mean, you can't forget like when he went upon a star and they ain't no
right.
strings and the ha diddly and afterlife for me.
Yeah, and obviously they're going for a completely different vibe
Mm,
here, and I'm not gonna be too mad at the movie. I don't think they ruined the movie or anything, but they are when we get to least favorite part.
mhm.
Yeah, that's my least favorite part.
Yeah. Um, what else do you want to talk about this movie? Like,
I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's anything we haven't really mentioned. I mean, we didn't talk about Tilda Swinton at all when we were talking about
oh yeah, because I thought that
the
was
voice cast.
can't blame Seth.
Yeah, because you never can remember can you never can keep those two straight for some
Yeah,
reason.
well, for some reason I thought I don't that one female Mandalorian that makes Mando's armor in the Mandalorian
Okay.
series. For some reason I thought that was Kate Blanchett doing the voice. It felt very like Kate Blanchett.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but no, it's a different actress. But no, Tilda Swinton's great as
She's
this.
always great.
Yeah.
She just she just sounds she sounds as ethereal as the
Mm.
character looks. So
All right. Yeah, I
yeah,
feel
and
like
I
she's
don't really have much else to say about it. I just wanted to shout her out.
yeah, she's definitely like a chameleon actor, like on the lines of like Gary Oldman, where like there's just so many skins and makeups that these performers put on.
Right. Yeah,
Because
she is kind of. I've never thought about the comparison between her and Gary Oldman, but that's actually pretty apt. Yeah. I
Yeah,
agree.
it's the fact that a lot of these actors can just, like, act, like, with that
Hmm.
all that makeup on it, like, that just astounds me.
Yeah. But then you get Tilda Swinton in something. Did you ever see We Need to Talk About Kevin?
Yeah, I wanna see that, I've been dying that's another movie that's been on my list for a while.
It's the least Tilda Swinton performance
Mm,
because she's just playing like a suburban mom,
right.
obviously with a child from hell,
Mhm.
but uh but yeah, she's just like playing like a regular person and she's great
Right.
at that too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess we can move on to favorite part and least favorite part.
Okay. Um favorite part. You know what? I'm gonna go with Ewan McGregor as Sebastian J. Cricket.
Okay.
I really love that character. I love his narration that's sort of periodically
Mhm.
through the movie, especially his closing narration
Yeah, he has a great
where
voice for it.
he's talking about just the impermanent nature of life and
Mhm.
how, the people around us are going to die and we just move on,
Mhm.
and then one of these days we will die, and
Yeah, and then
what happens.
yeah, and
I
the
love
last
it.
thought is the acorn falling off the tree, kind of going
Right.
the whole connection between Geppetto and Carlo.
Yeah.
Because actually, Carlo is actually a reference to the author of
Yeah, Carlo Collodi. Yeah.
yeah, Carlo Collodi. My favorite part is the whole. Oh no, you didn't do your least favorite part. What is your least favorite part?
It's the songs. I just don't think they're just not that good.
Okay,
But it doesn't ruin the movie. They're short at least.
okay. My favorite part is the whole theme of death and the value of life. I thought that was
Yeah.
very dark, like we keep saying for children's film.
Is it though? I mean, I I've gotten to a point in my life where I don't really view that stuff as dark.
Mm,
Uh Mostly because I just don't have that sort of dread of death. I mean, obviously I don't want to die right now. I want to keep living, and I don't want to die like some
mm,
horrible death or whatever, but
mm.
just the idea of death itself, it's just it doesn't it doesn't hang like a dark cloud over me
Yeah, it
anymore.
bothers
It's
me a
just an
little.
inevitable fact.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it bothers me a little bit. I mean, of course, I don't really believe in the traditional teaching of hell anymore.
Hmm.
That was probably like the biggest thing that I
Yeah.
stopped believing in when I
Hmm.
went away from Christianity. Um, but the whole idea of it, like, it still kind of scares me because, like, what if I'm wrong? Like, what if I can like drop dead right now and wake up in eternal torment? Like that is absolutely scary to me, and it's something that can keep me up at night. That definitely keeps me up at night.
Okay.
But I mean, obviously, I don't. Like I said, I don't believe in, it, but the thought of it scares me.
Yeah, it's not a great thought, but
Mm,
I it's just one that it just doesn't I don't think about it anymore. I think about like, I'm afraid of dying in certain ways,
mm.
but
Oh,
it's
yeah,
more
for sure.
about how you die
Mm,
than just dying, the fact of dying, because there's nothing we can do to avoid that. We're all
yeah,
gonna die, you know. That's
yeah,
just part of our life cycle,
yeah.
and it's
Hopefully, I can
fine.
get to the point where you're at, where it just doesn't matter.
It takes some time,
Yeah.
but I think it's just as you get
Mm,
older and you start to realize, well, there's a whole lot less of my life left.
right.
You just learn to deal with it. And
Yeah, and yeah, and it's probably an age thing because I recently kind of drifted away from Christianity, like
mm,
maybe like back to like 2018.
okay.
In the grand scheme of things, it's recently.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still kind of figuring things out with that
Hmm.
kind of thing. We always end up having amazing conversations on here, no matter who I talk to. Like whether it's you, Eric.
I mean, that's what the show's for. Yeah.
Yeah. My least favorite part is nothing. Like literally could not think of anything that I did not like about this movie. Like this is
Yeah.
a masterpiece to me. Like I really love this movie. Um,
Okay. I do want to pick one nit. And
okay.
obviously, this is a stupid thing to focus on in a movie about a talking, like, sentient wooden puppet. how does he know how a ocean mine works? Because
I don't know.
he knows that that thing's gonna blow up if he pushes the button.
Right.
How does he know that?
Yeah, I don't
That
know.
doesn't make any sense. It
Well,
bothers me.
just watching that joke reminded me of my favorite fart joke in any movie ever, which is in Finding Nemo when the sharks are chasing Nemo and Dory, or no, Marlin
Uh-huh.
and Dory, and then like one of the bombs go off, and it cuts the two pelicans, and then like the bomb, so the effect of the bomb, on the top of the ocean,
Yeah.
and it bubbles, and the other one thinks it farted, and he's like, dude, seriously? I just love that joke. Because it's actually a real crafted fart joke. It's just not. It's not.
Yeah.
It's Tony farted and it's funny because ooh, farting's funny. um, and then what is your rating for this movie?
I like a 4.
Okay,
It's a
I'm gonna give
solid
it.
4.
I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5.
Okay.
And that's been our Del Toro Part 2.
Woo.
Yeah, it's amazing that it's been 2 years since our last one, and then this one just ended so quickly. It seems like
I
it's over.
mean, not really quickly. There's it might be quick when you actually post it, but this has taken a long time, y'all.
Oh we have to mention that we were dealing with some technical difficulties throughout the whole entire
Yeah.
beginning of this video, where we had to like restart my modem.
Well, and then last time we were talking about like what I well, no, nah, never mind.
Well, the last one was more movies have not seen.
Yeah.
What's kind of the point of it? This is more like movies I've had seen.
So
Finding
stay tuned. Stay tuned in a couple years for Del Toro Part 3, where we'll talk about Nightmare Alley and Mimic and Blade 2.
And I feel like
And
we need to do Blade 2 separately. Like when we review
do it as Blade movies.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's still a Del Toro movie. Plus, in a couple of years, hopefully, we'll have Dr. Frankenstein to talk about.
Yeah. I'm gonna wait. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna wait till that movie comes out before we
Yep.
do Blade, or not Blade 2, Del Toro Part 3.
I don't know. I think it's worth talking about Blade 2 as a Del Toro movie
Oh, really?
more than a Blade movie because it's something that he signed on to. I mean, the
But is
Blade
it very Del
movies are
Toro? That's my question.
it's just as much Del Toro as like some of his other ones. I mean, it's got some Del Toro stuff. It's more Del Toro than Pacific Rim is, I
Okay,
think.
because my whole like thing about that was like it's a second movie in a trilogy, but each one is directed by somebody different, so it just felt
Yeah.
kind of weird.
Yeah, it is kind of a weird outlier, but Del Toro brings a lot of his sensibilities to it, I
Okay.
think.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
we're not gonna do that one for a while, for a minute.
Yeah. Not until Dr. Frankenstein comes out.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do it like for the release of that movie.
Do another Del Toro episode?
Yeah, like the
That'd be
week that
cool.
movie comes out, like
Yeah, that'd be
we can do
cool.
it. But anyways, I don't know if you want to do a ranking of all the movies that we reviewed of his
I mean,
thus
I
far.
was looking to see on my letterbox if I had already ranked all his movies, and I don't think I have.
Yeah, I
I don't
didn't
think I've,
either. I thought I did.
but I mean, if I was just gonna do a quick rundown, number one, I'd go Pan's Labyrinth.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, I'd go Hellboy 2.
Mm-hmm.
Number three, I'd probably go Shape of Water.
Mm-hmm.
Number four, I'd probably go Hellboy 1.
Mm-hmm.
Number five, that's tough. Maybe Kronos. I might rank Kronos number
Ooh, okay.
5. I don't know. Number 6, I'd probably do uh, either Pinocchio or Crimson Peak.
Mm-hmm.
7, I'd do Devil's Backbone. Then after that, I'd do Blade 2, and then Pacific Rim, or then Mimic, then Pacific Rim.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. That's not a hard and fast ranking. That's
Yeah.
just off the top of my head looking at. Oh, I didn't include Nightmare Alley in there.
Oh.
I have no idea.
Okay. Well, you did like all of his movies. I was specifically talking about the ones that we reviewed.
Oh, the ones that we were just doing tonight?
No, like between the one. So the running
Oh,
these
okay.
one and then the other.
Oh, okay. I don't have that list in front of me. So
Okay. Yeah, I'll give you mine right now. Those ones. Number one, Hellboy 2. Number two is Pinocchio. Number three, I'm gonna say Sleep of Water. My number three.
okay.
Number four, Pan's Labyrinth. Just based off the fact that it's not as rewatchable as my top three. But it's still a fantastic movie. Five, maybe Kratos. Maybe.
Okay.
Six. Maybe I'm gonna go with Pacific War. No, I'm gonna go Devil's Backbone, and then seven, Pacific Rim, and then eight, Crimson Peak.
Okay.
Yeah, so those are all the ones that we reviewed.
Oh, you didn't put Hellboy 1 in there anywhere.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not starting over my list. It's somewhere on the bottom. Like I like Hellboy 1, but like I don't think the concept of Hellboy like really fully.
Yeah,
it
it doesn't really get going until Hellboy 2. Hellboy 1's a lot of fun, but Hellboy 2 is like stone cold awesome.
Yeah, that's in my top 10 favorite comic book movies of all time.
Yeah, me too.
Hellboy 2. That movie's amazing.
Yeah.
But anyways, guys, like I said, that's been our Guillermo del Toro episode part 2. Hopefully our next episode of Horror Sci-Fi and Beyond is going to be the next episode of MCU Look Back. We're gonna be reviewing Spider-Man Homecoming and Thor Ragnarok. Like I said, Jackson, I know you're dreading the continuation of that series, but I'm gonna have a little bit more mercy on you. We're gonna do it every other month.
I know, it's fine. And honestly, like I don't dread it until we get past the Infinity Saga. So
yeah, well, like I said, we're gonna take a huge break.
Yeah,
the Infinity Saga, like
maybe
fair. Like a 6 to 12 month break.
Yeah,
because like I'm thinking it as like seasons. So like Infinity War is season 1, and then like phase 4 could be like season 2 because that's really long with all the TV shows. And then the phase after that can be like season 3 of the series.
If it's even still around by then, who knows?
Yeah, I don't know.
We don't know the future of the MCU at this point.
Yeah, I think this year is going to be a pretty big turning point for Disney. Like it'd be interesting to see what they're going to do.
Well, they've backed off on a lot of the stuff. You know, they're not really releasing anything. I mean, Deadpool 2 or Deadpool 3, sorry, Deadpool 3 is coming out, and that's it. I think.
Yeah,
I don't think there's any other like MCU movies, and even Deadpool 3, that's like sort of adjacent to the MCU.
Yeah, we got Echo this year that I haven't seen yet.
I don't care about that.
Yeah.
I'll watch it when we have to do it for MCU Look Back in like 7 years.
Yeah, I mean at this point, that's that. But anyways, guys, if you like this episode and you want to see more spooky and weird content, make sure you slash that subscribe button and follow me on Horror Sci-Fi and Beyond over on Facebook and Twitter X. Also, don't forget to leave this episode a killer comment and give it a King Kong size thumbs up. This has been Drew from Horror Sci-Fi and Beyond, laughing at Jackson and mimicking my hand motions. And I hope you guys have a good night. Bye.